Om Sri Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Today we will talk about like a very, very important topic today, which is like we all struggle every day in our life because we want to get closer to God. We want to enjoy the peace in our lives. But what happens is it is so difficult to achieve that target. For example, if we sit down for puja or meditation and we want to have some peaceful moments, like a very calming, soothing kind of effect, or we can forget about this mind and go deeper into the meditation and get involved in the puja process. But what happens is our mind keeps wandering, and we all experience that. And some people really express that this is very hard. And then others say that they want to grow spiritually and it's kind of difficult to meditate or focus. So these are the difficulties. For this, today we're going to focus on why that happens and what are the reasons and how we can correct that and how comprehensive the process is and how to change our view of our life, how to change our perception, seeing things around us. So we do not really realize that this mind is so fickle and it creates so many problems for us. And then our mental sufferings, worries, physical issues, and we experience pain in our lives, and the list goes on because of this. What is the primary cause for these diseases that we all experience? And they are affecting our body and mind. The primary reason is bad thoughts, negative emotions. These are the ones that make us not go near the God. Whatever we hold in our mind, that will be reproduced in the physical body as a disease. If we are happy, then the body will be good. But if we are not, then it shows in some form of difficulty and it is expressed in the body. Any ill feeling or bitterness towards any other person definitely will affect our body. And those intense feelings with passion sometimes we have, and the hatred or long-standing bitter jealousy, or like sometimes we're so anxious, it's kind of corroding our personality. And sometimes we have fits of hot temper, and they all really destroy the cells of the body and destroy our immunity in our body. And then they induce the disease for the body. Sometimes we throw violent fits of hot temper towards our loved ones also. And not only towards people we don't like, but we also throw this towards our loved ones. And this will cause serious damage to our brain cells. These fits also release, what they do is they irritate the blood. I mean, there's poisonous chemicals released, and our body organs, and they drain our energy, not only the physical, but the spiritual energy. We will talk about that in a short while. When the mind is agitated, then this body is also agitated. Wherever the body goes, the mind follows. We know that. When both the body and mind are agitated, then what happens is our life force inside us, when we sit down for the meditation, that prana force, the life force, is the main reason which we grow spiritually, and it flows in different directions or wrong direction, or it doesn't move. Instead of pervading the whole body steadily and equally, it will really vibrate unequally. So the rhythm is affected. Then the body will be in the imbalance. What happens is, if the body is in imbalance, how do we know that? The food is not digested properly, somebody is constipated, somebody is not doing well, and there are some discomforts in the body. If the primary cause is removed, then you get better. So the pains that are reflected in the physical body, they're only secondary, but the main thing is our vasanas. That means these opinions, perceptions, and the karma related results that we accumulated over a period of time, over a period of other janmas also, and they manifest as mental and primary diseases sometimes. If bad thoughts are destroyed, all bodily diseases will get better, definitely. Purity of the mind means healthy body. Therefore, what we need to do is we have to be very careful in our thinking, how our thoughts are, what kind of selection of thoughts we have in our brain. And always it's better to entertain some noble thoughts, some loving, kind thoughts, and forgiving. Then we'll have harmony and we have health in our life. One of the imagination, the erroneous imagination that we have in Vedanta, in the spiritual world, they call is, you are the body, and because we don't think that we have a God inside us, and we think we are the body or mind. So that's where the root of all evils comes from. This wrong thinking will make us identify with the body. This is called, in the terminology, it's called dehadhyasa. So we are attached to the body, and that causes abhimana. Abhimana, this is also a technical term in the Vedanta. And then this feeling of mindness, me, mindness, mamata arises. Then we identify this mamata, mindness, will make you identify with your spouse, children, house, like that. Whatever belongs to you, you identify yourself with those things. And that causes the attachment and bondage, misery and pain. Here, this is well explained in one of our sastras. I'm just going to say the word, Chandogya Upanishad. We talked about that some time ago. This Upanishad says, when the food is pure, the whole nature becomes pure. When the nature becomes pure, the memory becomes firm. And when a man in a position of a firm memory, all the ties are severed. That means we have to be careful here. The philosophers say that the mind depends on the food that we eat. That means food here means it's not just what we eat. It is what we do every day. It's also what we see, what we hear. That's also kind of food, okay? The Pancha Gnanendriyas, whatever we take from those is also called food. That's what the Upanishad, the deeper meaning is. We cannot just take it as just only what we eat, because this is what makes our mind. The food that usually the solid food we take, what happens is the heavy form we eat, digested, and then it's excreted. And the medium density food that we eat, it is transformed into the flesh. And the fine thing goes to the mind. This is what the Chandogya Upanishad says. So they know about it. And the food also plays an important role in meditation. Here, food means again all the panchendriyas, whatever we take inside. For the purpose of meditation, the thoughts must be sattvic, the food that we eat must be sattvic, nutritious. Otherwise, it's not good. That's why we talked about this before. Whoever is cooking the food, they have to have clear mind and a happy mind and a godly mind. If we do that, our family will be very happy. They will be very sattvic too. When we are angry when we're cooking the food, it's going to affect us definitely. So, and also when those that kind of cooking also causes wrong perceptions in our life, because the majority of the issues that we go through are due to the false perceptions that we see. And the one of the other Upanishads, I'm going to just say the name, just don't worry about the names. It's called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. What it says is that, I'm going to read it for you. I was absent-minded, I did not hear. I was absent-minded, I did not see. So what it's saying is that when your mind is not into it, you won't hear a thing, even though you are hearing things. When we see, even if our mind is not into it, we don't see it really. Like we all experience that. Desire, determination, uncertainty, belief or disbelief, those kind of things like shame, intellect, fear, all these are in the mind. That's why it's so important that we have to focus on what we take inside. When we observe our perception of different situations around us, we can learn so much. Because it's not just worshiping God, it's about what you do whole day. It's about what you do whole day. And digest this crap. Therefore, we have to be very, very careful. We criticize everything that the people do sometimes. Even our loved ones, sometimes we're not fair to them. Can you guys hear me? Dial చేసా నెంబర్ డయల్ చేయండి లేకపోతే Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
The battery in the phone was. So we kind of criticize everything that some people do in our family or loved ones, but what we're doing here is that by positively or negatively we wish good for them, but at the same time we're criticizing them for everything they do. What we're doing is we're draining our positive energy that was built, that was accumulated when you do your puja, meditation and all that. So we never grow in meditation wise. So we have to be very careful there, because there is an inherent possibility that we may be treating these loved ones, when we really get angry at them for simple things. We usually don't do it for other people, but sometimes we do it to our loved ones. We criticize, right? So then what's happening is we're treating them like as slaves. It's worse than like anything, because you're building negative energy there in the house. So we have to be very careful, draining this spiritual energy. This urge to control, okay, your family, your friends, or your thoughts, whatever you see around, you want your way because you feel that's the right thing to do. Then what happens is that will not let you grow spiritually. And we have to teach our kids and loved ones what is good, but not control them with emotional kind of blackmail, because some of us go through that definitely. If we do that emotional blackmail by, I will describe that a little bit later about it. There are, to understand this process, there are two compartments in the mind. One is the thinking portion and the perceiving portion. Okay? One is the thinking portion and the other one is the perceiving portion. It is easy to stop the thinking portion. But what happens is your perception, the way you see things, is very difficult to change because you got used to a certain way. You feel that certain things are better for you and other people. That's why our perception really makes us do difficult things. So let's go through the little bit deeper here. Our thoughts create our world, right? The way you see things, that means the way your thoughts are, that's how you're going to see things. Because when you see the material universe, the bigger universe, the way it came is that Srishti, we know, the one Paramatma wanted to be two, multiple, right? That's the thought. That's what they tell us. It doesn't mean that the Paramatma wanted to split, but they are giving us that sankalpa itself is making us not grow spiritually. We are going into the samsara. We're going into the world. That's what happens there. That's the meaning behind when Paramatma wanted to become one from the multiple. Okay? Everything we see, buildings, statues, paintings, every piece of mechanism we see, everything had its birth in the mind first, right? Somebody has to think about it. Then only they can do that. They can materially express that. After all, like the world merely as an idea or thought. And the seed begins to germinate as the proper time and place for the tree, right? So in the same way, the seer, that means the whoever is watching, the knower, appears as the visible through the sankalpa of the mind. When the mind ceases to think, the world vanishes. That's what Vedanta tells you. That's what moksha means. That's what happens in samadhi, meditation. There is bliss, indescribable bliss is there. When the mind starts thinking again, immediately the world appears. So where is this coming from? Again, we have to go into the power of thought. Thought is really vital, living force. And thought as a force needs a special kind of subtle matter in its working. We have to be very careful because these thoughts are like living things. Okay? Thoughts never go waste. They are like Wi-Fi in the air. Our thoughts are like Wi-Fi. If proper receiver is there, people can receive that. It can affect people. We have to be careful. That's why this is very important. Some of the saints, the yogic capacity, who has the yogic capacity, they can see what kind of thoughts you have in your brain or in your mind. It's interesting to know that the spiritual thought has a yellow color. They see when they like people like Baba or any saints, when they watch you, they see yellow color when you have spiritual thoughts. When you are anger or hatred ridden, they see dark red color. And then if there are like selfish thoughts, they see a brown color. So I was kind of amazed to learn about this, that they can see these colors in us. Our thoughts build our character, right? We all know that. And the first step towards the deliberate creation of this character is we have to choose carefully what we're thinking, what we're doing, then thinking persistently on the quality of the thoughts that we kind of choose. Every karma that we do, every action that we do has twofold effect. That means it affects you two ways. one on the individual mind, the other is on the world. That means people around you. Man makes the circumstances of his future life by the effect of his actions upon others too. Every action has a past which leads up to it, and every action has a future which proceeds from it. So we have to be careful about this. So the final questions are like how to control the mind. To attain good samadhi or self realization or deeper states in meditation or enjoying the peace in the life, one must constantly struggle with the mind for its purification and steadiness. It is only the power of the will which can control it and stop its fluctuations. So there are three things. Please remember these three things. Very important, and we need to practice these things in our life. The first one is you need to have a strong desire to change. It's not just enough that we feel we want to change, but we need to really make good changes in our lives. And then we have to have faith in our path, faith in our guru, faith in our sastras, faith in what we are doing. Okay, that's the second one. The third one is no matter what, you need to have a strong willpower to continue this. So the three are you need to have a strong desire to change, and you need to have a strong faith, and then strong willpower. Let's remember these three. So with these three, how do we change? We need to monitor our thought patterns. Our thought patterns are not coming out of the blue. Okay? We've been thinking this way all our lives, maybe in the previous lives also. Basically, we are good people. We need to control the urge to control people around us or control the situations around us. And then, of course, because we're good people, we're not going to have evil thoughts. But sometimes some people might have these evil thoughts or negative thoughts. Then it's kind of hard to grow spiritually. So remember these things. Urge to control the people around us, urge to control the situations around us. This is what destroys us spiritually. This is what drains our spiritual energy. But it's kind of very difficult for us to calm our mind. And here we have to observe our relationships. So these are the main sources for our thoughts. We have to be careful about our thoughts. For some, it could be kids, spouse, parents, work. Like mostly it's work related. It's life related. We want the best for me and my people. Okay? That's how we feel all the time. There's nothing wrong in it. So we will try to influence them. In this process, how we conduct ourselves makes a big difference. If we observe a kid, this kid wants something, they will get this by hook or crook. They will charm you, or they will throw a tantrum. They will blackmail us by emotions, by crying, right? And this behavior of the mind will make our lives difficult as adults when we grow up, because we grew up with that way. When we wanted something, we did it, we got it. So that destroys us, that hinders us from growing spiritually also. Even in ordinary situations, sometimes we have the urge to control our surroundings. We don't need to. Let go things. If they're not dangerous, let the kids do whatever they want. Let the people around in your life, let them do it. You don't need to interfere in every aspect of their life. Okay? Even though they're doing a little bit wrong, it's okay. Let them do it, because it's not life-ending kind of thing. Because by doing that, you're creating a negative energy there. Whatever little spiritual energy we develop by doing pujas, with our bhakti, we lose that through this urge to control our surroundings. So in our Patanjali Yoga Sutras, that's the standard for the yoga sadhana. with Ashtanga Yoga, the Patanjali talks about the importance of the purifying the mind simultaneously before you resort to the yogic techniques. That means, we all do yoga, we do asanas, pranayama. If we do those things without learning to control the mind, then it's just a physical act. We don't grow. What happens there is, if you do those things without purified mind, you're spreading the negative energy into your muscles, you're spreading the negative energy into your breathing. That means you're spreading the negative energy into your life force. And it causes more damage because your mind is not kept pure. This will not help us to grow to the later stages of the dharana and dhyana. Okay, dharana means, we talked about this before, like whatever we try to focus during the meditation is dharana. Dhyana means if you are able to focus on one particular thing with a constant flow, then we are able to be saying that we are in dhyana. Then after dhyana, what happens is, if you completely get rid of all these things and that flow is also forgotten, then it's called samadhi. So those are the brief definitions there with Ashtanga Yoga. But now let us see how we can conserve and how we can use this energy in a proper way. Just as energy is wasted in idle talk, gossiping, we think about other people unnecessarily. We don't need to think about all of them all the time, but we do think. We waste our energy entertaining useless thoughts. Therefore, we should not really waste even a single thought. We need to conserve our mental energy and utilize it for higher spiritual purposes. Conserve all thought energy and utilize it for deeper meditation, and it will be helpful. And then we also have to conserve our energy to serve humanity also, because that's a positive energy. Do not store in your brain useless information. That's another step. We have to be careful. Sometimes we learn about unnecessarily all the things. Learn to unmind the mind. These are all the techniques. Unlearn whatever you have learned. They are now useless for you, okay? Then only we can fill our mind with divine thoughts. So we need to stop the urge to control the surroundings the way we like, okay? We need to accept others' views because that is important for them. If they ask you for an advice, that's a different issue. We can offer them. If they don't, then we don't need to advise them. Even then, we have to be careful not to get carried away. So here, we have to remember the things. How do you conserve these things? Again, the Ashtanga Yoga is important. Yama niyamas are the most important before the asana pranayamas. Yamas, what are those things? How do we control this? Ahimsa. That means non-violence, non-harming, okay? Not only in your actions, but in your thoughts also. You should not be thinking about negatively everything. For example, when we see a good thing, we focus on what is not good in that. That is also ahimsa, okay? Through your thought. We have to be careful. The next one is speaking the truth, satya. And then the other one is non-stealing, it's called asteya. Non-stealing means whatever doesn't belong to us, we shouldn't be taking that. Even sometimes we participate in the things, we take credit for things we didn't do. That's also equally wrong. Some people give us credit for that. Immediately we have to say, I didn't do this. I'm only part of this. So that's also very important to grow spiritually. And then the brahmacharya is important. Using your celibacy, right use of energy. And then aparigraha, they call. Aparigraha means we should not be hoarding things. We have to stop being greedy. And whatever, we have to be careful not accepting things which we don't need. Okay? That's called yamas, these 5. And then quickly the 5 niyamas we have to be careful is that to conserve our energy, to grow spiritually, we need to have saucha. That means purity. it is the inner purity of the mind, and then body purity is also important. So both things are very important. Maybe we'll talk about this some other time. But the santosha, that means contentment. We need to be happy with what we are doing, what we have, so that we can focus on God more. And then the tapas is important. That means self-discipline, all the things that you can do, focusing on God and doing like a tapas. And swadhyaya means you have to study good books, you have to study good scriptures. If you don't do that, your mind will wander. You're not keeping that properly. And then Easter, last one is called Iswara Pranidhana. That means we have to surrender to what we believe, surrender to our Guru, surrender to our God. Okay? These are the important things. And finally, to conclude, so not only have these thoughts, good thoughts, vichara, viveka, vairagya. So we need to analyze things and then show viveka, discrimination, like what is good, what is not good for us. We have to be careful about it. And vairagya a little bit. Okay? The best way to control thoughts is to practice the control of the sankalpas. Sankalpas are the destroyers of our spiritual energy. We have to be very careful. You have to let go certain things. We have to be balanced in our approach towards pain and pleasure in our lives. Or why this bad thing happened to me. We should not be thinking like that. We have to remember karma theory. So lastly, the devotion and service are the pillars for spiritual energy. So we have to be practicing those things. So these are the take-home points. Let's all remember these. And with this, we will conclude the satsang today. Om Sri Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai.